What is up, everybody? I'm Amigo Joe, and I'm bringing you guys the final part of What If I Was in the Hazbin Hotel. Now, it's been a really long time since I have actually not finished this What If. I know, but I'm not gonna finish it right now. This is gonna be a final part, and I know I should have done much more multiple parts to be much more specific, but because of the lore now actually being so much, practically not being these powerful opponents for my OC, which I created myself, will most likely not bring that much of a challenge. But now let's into a story. Of course, by the time of B and Kuro would have most likely would hang out, spending a long time, and eventually dating one another. B, of course, will still hold her own company of being a professional pop star. She, of course, is one of the sins, and she'll be incredibly powerful. But of course, she's not as powerful as Kuro because Kuro is an overlord who's almost as strong as Lucifer himself. Who, of course, Kuro in the past was able to take on multiple angels and even spare value by a time. Of course, Kuro would have most likely would have also had a good relationship with Alistair. Of course, he would not like Alistair to the point that he would mostly call him a friend, but he would mostly call him a friend in Weapon's Arm, you could say. Of course, Kuro would have also helped Charlie practically increase her bone-like appearance to practically make her hotel be incredibly good. Now, of course, the news accident will most likely happen, but Kuro most likely would have just burned the one who practically insulted Charlie for even thinking that sinners cannot change, and probably Kuro would have actually proven that they can, but they have to just actually do that if they want to. And of course, Kuro is able to practically prove that he's right. Which of course the many sinners were able to be redeemed, and of course some of them were actually able to even go to heaven, which kind of happens a lot Kuro and Charlie as well. Of course, Mr. Centaur would of course still be there. Being a part snake and also being an overlord, well, he is pretty incredibly smart. Even Kuro would admit that his intelligence is even superior to most overlords except himself, since Kuro is mostly incredibly knowledgeable. But of course, Mr. Centaur is also smart and incredibly intelligent as well. Both were actually partners in the past when Centaur was still young. Centaur, of course, would have partnered up with Kuro in the past before Kuro actually became an overlord. Both of them actually would have worked together as a team and eventually actually took out multiple dangerous villain people at a time. Of course, Valentino would not actually decide to actually mess with Kuro, knowing that he's incredibly powerful and strong. But this, of course, someone knows about Kuro, but he actually knows him for a really long time before Kuro actually became an overlord. Kuro, of course, would have most likely helped Blitz, Moxie, Missy, and of course Luna to practically coexist with the rest of Hell. Also, have living in its own area since it's much more better populated and it has much more better people. Since most of the people in his own area actually do not act evil or just being rude to one another. They actually act incredibly peaceful, comparable to normal humankind, which it has in Earth. So, of course, yes. Now, of course, Adam would still actually want to practically go with the extermination date still happen much more early on, but Kurash would have known that since he was multiple after ripping multiple angels' wings by the many years that he's actually able to practically destroy the extermination day multiple times uninterrupted as well. He also would be able to practically grow his own variation of an angelic wings, but his wings will be black in color. Yes, Kuro in in the future, will most likely, or in the present now, he's actually becoming a fallen angel. He's not actually becoming a full demon, but a fallen angel instead. He was able to absorb so much holy energy and absorb the wings of an almost incredible amounts of hundreds of angels. To the point he was able to absorb them and become a fallen angel. Of course, Lucifer would have actually taken notice that and eventually decided to probably let Kuro go on with this plan. Kuro's plan is actually to practically invade heaven and practically force the superiors of heaven to practically disagree with the extermination date, practically to reject it and stop it from ever before. Of course, this is a pretty functional plan, but Kuro needs to get in heaven without being spied, and since he's a fallen angel now, he cannot actually be spied by either demons or angels since he's neutral between them, meaning that his energy signature will most likely not be actually that much detected. Means he can practically go to heaven or hell if anything if he desires to, but it takes him a lot of energy to practically go to heaven. This is much more complicated to go there because of a seal. Of course, with Beast's help and of course sharing with everyone else, he's able to grow stronger and eventually go to heaven. Of course, Kuro actually sees that heaven is very peaceful, yet some people are still rude. He actually sees that most of the angels actually don't know about the extermination day, nor did they actually even pay attention to it. The only ones who are actually paying attention to it are actually the higher seraphim angels, which of course Kuro is actually spies, so only the seraphim angels know about this while the rest of the angels don't. Of course, it's kind of curious is makes Kuro incredibly curious, and eventually he is able to practically run through many files. Eventually, actually able to find out that God was actually leaving this world, practically ascending to another area to practically relax, to practically take a break after so long of stress. Since he was practically taking care of heaven and hell for a really long time, to a point that he was practically overworking himself, so he needed to take a break. And of course, Kuro actually understands that, since he was a businessman himself, and of course knew that overworking yourself will most likely cause a lot of stress to the body and mind, and even for God as well. And since God practically lived for multiple eons, he understands that. Of course, he's able to run through multiple files and eventually find out everything about multiple other souls and how some of them should be redeemed, yet they're not. This, of course, kind of angers Kura about finding out after so long. He's incredibly angered by this and blames it all on Adam. Since Adam was practically the one who influenced most of the Seraphim angels to practically continue on with their extermination day, without even trying to actually confirm about redeeming sinners. This angered Kuro so much that a dark hour starts to expel from his body, so much that it starts to darken the entire sky of heaven. But Kuro also would have actually instantly knows that and eventually cover it up. Even to practically make it so it's actually dark clouds, but not a dark aura. With this, of course, it won't be pretty confused of what the Dark Clouds are doing up heaven, but of course, Kuro able to escape just in the nick of time because of distraction. Of course, most of the extermination angels will try to search for him, originally trying to find the reason why the sky became dark for a split moment. Of course, I don't think that maybe that's Kuro, maybe he's able to invade heaven once and for all. Of course, Adam is incredibly angered, but he's just smart, thinking to himself that extermination day will practically be much more better since he knows that Kuro knows about it. Kuro, of course, will decide to prepare everyone else. Aside to train, Angel does how to practically combat himself a lot better, alongside many of the other, alongside Husk, who's practically an overlord before. But of course, after making a deal with Alistair, he's not anymore. Of course, Kuro was practically able to break the deal, and eventually practically free Husk from it, and eventually Husk was able to become stronger. Eventually, he regained some most of his power, but he did not become an overlord once again, since he thought that it was too much trouble for him. But he did kind of decide to work for both Charlie and Kuro, since he thought that they're pretty respectable persons. Of course, Charlie would eventually start a date with Vaggie, since they both were liking one another. Kuro would be pretty happy for them alongside B, as both Kuro and V would have grown a relationship with one another after a couple of months, practically becoming a couple and eventually decided to date one another. Of course, Alistair would have still been single and kind of be psyched about him. Of course, everyone was still continuing with their lives, but Kuro was prepare everyone else for the extermination day alongside his people, since he knows that Adam most likely would go for him first, knowing that he would try to kill him first so he can get rid of him and get rid of the entire hell. Of course, Lucifer also knows that and eventually decides to also help out Kuro, knowing to deal with Adam once and for all and to kill him. And Kuro is incredibly happy to hear that, as he has a delicious smile, which of course kind of actually surprised Lucifer, since he has not actually seen Kuro smile in many years. He's actually not seen Kuro smile in ever since he has actually visited him. He only has been able to smile with his eyes, but not with his mouth, which is actually quite surprising. Kuro also revealed his mouth being with the sharp teeth and a long tongue, which actually kind of turns on B, while the others are incredibly shocked and slightly terrified by it, while Alistair is pretty intrigued. Of course, Kuro actually sees that B is incredibly turned on by this, and eventually she drives to her bedroom. And of course, Kuro just chuckles as he tells everyone to put on the headphones, with everyone doing so alongside Lucifer, since he knows what is about to come. Eventually, with a lot of moaning and screaming, of course, both Kuro and B would have walked out, or most likely Kuro would have practically carried B after the intense session with one another. B would be pretty satisfied with this, but Kuro tells her that she went overboard and now she can't walk. B just chuckles and tells him that it's no problem, since she's partly used to it. Of course, Kuro just blushed immensely, while everyone else would be pretty shocked, and they will ask Kuro if that's happened more often, with Kuro nodding. Of course, this will practically tell that B is in heat, which will most likely make sense, but since Kuro is immensely powerful and has immense stamina, he most likely able to tire her out incredibly quickly, so it makes sense. Kuro sighs and tells us that B does experience heat, but in a much more different way. It actually occurs from time to time, or when he practically does something that turns her on. So that's why the heat for her is much more different to everyone else, which of course has not understanding what Kuro means. Eventually, of course, by the time Adam and his extermination angels would then appear for extermination day, but everyone will be prepared alongside Kuro's army as he will be prepared. Kuro's army will actually be much more than Adam's army of angels, with Kuro possessing more than over 100,000 people in his own area, since he was able to practically make it so peaceful to a point that many people actually wanted to join it. And because of the redeemed sinners inside heaven, they practically refused to practically join Adam, and eventually even convinced some of the angels to do the same. Eventually leading to only Adam to have only a troops of around 1,000 angels, and not 10,000 or anything else. Becky with everyone else, almost like Kuro and B, were able to take out most of the angels. Kuro is able to kill most of them since he is able to practically use holy energy, and because of them able to absorb it into his flames. With his flames becoming a fallen flames, which are a combination between holy magic and demonic magic, which he just calls the fallen magic. Kuro is able to practically beat most of the angels and eventually fight against Adam. Of course, also we're pretty injured alongside Lucifer as well, but Kuro will not be injured at all, since he can practically regenerate because of his new angelic ability. With this, of course, Kuro then kills Adam and eventually goes to the higher seraphims, eventually explaining his reasons about redeeming sinners, and eventually the rest of the angels, seraphim angels as well, decide to agree to his sinners to be redeemed, and Kuro is happy because of it. With Sir Plenteous, of course, becoming an angel and eventually practically working with most of the angels to practically redeem sinners. Eventually, when God does return back, he's pretty surprised to actually see Kuro, and he's incredibly happy that he did his job as he told him. And was actually surprised to actually see God, and eventually when they actually heard that Kuro practically did something as a job. Big ponders on what God means, while Kuro just explained to her that God practically sent him to hell, or practically did not mean to send him there, but he gave him a mission to practically protect hell and its people, and also to redeem sinners. Of course, everyone else will be pretty shocked to know this, and eventually Tara will be pretty happy since her grandfather practically was able to help her out, even though he was not here. Of course, God apologizes to both Lucifer and Charlie since he practically should have not told Adam about practically into Lucifer to practically redeem sinners. But of course, Lucifer and Charlie say to him that he doesn't need to apologize, and they understand that. Adam was a really piece of dick, so they understand that. And Kuro agrees, saying that he should not even create him. Even he didn't know why he even created the first man, just let him be an angel and not just let him die normally. God does sigh and tells Kuro that he understands his mistake, but now everything is fixed, and Kuro agrees, as then a peaceful time is resumed on heaven and hell for eons, with most of the angels visiting hell, and of course some of the demons from Kuro's area practically visiting heaven. For a time to time, multiple years would have passed with Kuro and B practically becoming incredibly powerful themselves, and eventually having two children. Kuro's children and B's children, of course, would have mostly inherited some of their abilities, but not the angelic abilities of Kuro because he was able to absorb them. But they mostly would possess a little bit of their abilities. But guys, it's the end of the story. I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara, everyone. See you next time.